Now, two bikes that have been taking my fancy this week, you know how you get, you just sort of, you go from week to week, or well, at least I do. I don't know if this happens to you, but sometimes you're in the mood for a cruiser, sometimes you're in the mood for a sport bike, sometimes you're in the mood for a naked bike. Well, at the moment, I'm into cruisers, and the two bikes that I've sort of whittled down to the two bikes that I would buy if I was buying a cruiser right now, and that would be the Indian Super Chief Limited or the Harley Heritage Classic. Now, they're the two bikes that, after looking around, they're the two bikes that most appeal to me today. Now, in Australia, the Indian Super Chief Limited sells for 30,995 Australian dollars, and the Heritage Classic sells for $36,995. So the Harley Heritage Classic is $6,000 Australian more expensive than the Indian Super Chief Limited at the moment. And I suppose the question that you need to ask is it $6,000 better in value? And so I've been watching quite a few videos on YouTube on both those bikes, and the takeaway seems to be, now, on an appearance side or looks wise, I like both bikes, but I like both bikes for different reasons. The Super Chief Limited really appeals to me because it's sort of like a stripped back, raw cruiser that could do touring work as well, to a degree. It's not a touring bike, but you could certainly do some touring on it. Whereas the Harley Heritage Classic is more of a refined, more established looking model. And both bikes do appeal to me visually. If I had to go on looks alone though, I would say there's something about the rawness of the Super Chief Limited that's really appealing to me. And I think looks-wise, for me personally, I would give the nod to the Super Chief Limited. But having said that, I could quite easily own the Heritage Classic looks-wise. Now, when it comes to other features, from what I'm seeing in the reviews, is that the Harley may be a little bit nicer riding bike, more compliant in the suspension, and just seems to, from the feedback, change direction a little easier in the turns and in the bends. And I think that's backed up by the longer travel suspension on the rear of the Harley, whereas the Super Chief Limited has, I think, 3 inches of rear travel. So suspension-wise, I'd have to give the win to the Harley. And the other thing that appeals to me about the Heritage Classic over the Super Chief Limited is the panniers, or the luggage. I like the fact that you can lock the bags on the Heritage Classic and you can't lock the bags on the Super Chief Limited. And also, I think, from what I can see, the Harley may have a little bit more room in the bags than what the Super Chief Limited does, because the Super Chief Limited looks like it's a pretty large bag, but it tapers up at the top, and when you open the bag up, you can see there's sort of pieces sort of pressing into the space of the bag. So, and I did see some feedback that one of the riders found the storage capacity of the Super Chief Limited to be a little bit limited, no pun intended. Other notable features of these two bikes is that the wet weight of both the bikes is pretty much identical, very similar. The Super Chief Limited comes in at 335 kilograms wet, ready to ride, and the Heritage Classic comes in at 330 kilograms wet, ready to ride. Another win to the Heritage Classic though is the fuel tank. 18.9 litres on the Heritage Classic versus 15.1 litres on the Super Chief Limited. So if I had to put my money down, or I was in a position to buy one this week, and if I was in a position, I tell you, I'd be very sorely tempted to go out and buy one of these bikes. I'm sort of a bit torn because I like the looks of the Super Chief Limited, and I think the Harley Heritage Classic would be a nicer riding bike, but I think the Super Chief Limited would be good enough for what I need. But I really like the fact that the Harley has a larger fuel tank. I like the fact that the Harley has lockable bags, and I like the idea of more comfortable, more compliant suspension. So even though it's $6,000 Australian dearer, this week I would buy the Heritage Classic over the Super Chief Limited.